Hello everybody and welcome back to another Gundam vlog review. We're talking about episode number 7 of Gundam GQuuuuuX today, which was titled Machu's Rebellion, and oh boy, did she really rebel in this one. It was actually pretty ballsy of an episode. I think it was a quite good episode. I would put it pretty high up on the list as far as my favorite episodes of the season so far has gone. And mostly that's because episode 7 actually, by the end, has changed the status quo for pretty much all of the characters involved. So, first of all, my main concern about the clan battles being all outside of the colony and getting kind of boring in space has immediately been answered, as the organization is becoming incredibly ballsy and has decided to do a battle inside the colony, because that seems like a really good idea. Especially because Kycilia is actually present at Side 6 right now, and she's meeting with the president, Mr. Pargamino. She's also in a meeting with Cameron, who's from the Audit Bureau, and he says that the Audit Bureau approves of the solar ray plan that will supposedly restore the Earth's environment. But they do want to be part of overseeing construction. Also, like, when they slap the top secret plans folder down on the table, you can't tell me that symbol on there doesn't look just evil as hell. After the meeting, Pergamo says that he has no idea what Zeon is thinking, as instigating another conflict with the Fedis is a bad idea for a nation that's pretty much almost bankrupt. That's the whole reason why Zeon is having to shop around essentially for sponsors for this solar ray project, that they're like out of money essentially, which I guess is probably adding fuel to the fire in the Kycilia versus Giran argument. This episode also kind of answered my criticism of why the Side 6 government isn't cracking down harder on clan battles since they seem so dangerous. And it's because Pergamino is pretty corrupt, and we learn that the government of Side 6 is actually like secretly managing the clan battles and making a bunch of money off of it, which I should have guessed. While Gates, Kappa, and Do are the rival clan battle team in this episode, the clan battle is of pretty much no interest to them. What they actually want to do is just get to Kycilia and kill her, which they plan to do by deploying the giant-ass mobile armor, the Psycho Gundam. Yes, if you're a fan of Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, this episode is probably up there in one of your favorites just because of all the callbacks. They also really do not care about civilian casualties in this episode. Like, the colony's pretty much just fucked. The Psycho Gundam just fires lasers at everything and blows up a bunch of cars as soon as they show up on the field. Also, I have to say, they do a lot of 2D drawings of the mechs in this episode, and I think they look way better when they're drawn instead of being 3D models. I don't know. The 3D models make them just look so busy, but when you actually look at the GQuuuuuX when it's like 2D and fits in with the rest of the scenery, it actually doesn't look too bad. Now, while Nian and Shuji are out in the clan battle, Machu actually sneaks back to the Pomeranians' hideout and breaks into their safe to steal all the money. And I don't know, I just really liked this about her. Like, she's like overheard them planning to basically abandon them last episode, so she's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna steal all their money. Of course, she gets caught by Anki in the process, but there's a gun in the safe. And I thought when I saw that, I was like, if they actually have Machu shoot somebody in the face in this episode, I'm going to clap like a circus seal. Of course, Anki does that whole, like, you don't have the guts to shoot me thing, but Machu does pull the trigger. Now, she misses and shoots the wall, but Anki falls over stunned, and Machu is able to run away with the big bag of money while screaming that it's kind of Anki's whole fault anyway. Like, she kind of took advantage of Machu and was the one spurring her on this whole time, so she really can't blame anyone but herself. The military police arrive to take down the clan battle, and they end up shooting the GQuuuuuX and knocking Nian out of the sky. She tumbles down a highway, and she's actually, like, ejected from the cockpit, only for Shuji to catch her. He must have done some new type level calculus to know exactly where to stand to do that. That's pretty impressive. After seeing all the chaos and destruction, Nyan begs Shuji to just abandon the Gundams and go find Machu and escape with them. But Shuji says the Gundam says the rose is awakening, and we see that the cockpit begins to glow. Of course, the cockpit glowing is a sure sign of what we know to be called a Zeknova, and Shuji eventually is pulled into the Kira Kira as the giant energy explosion takes place. The resonance between the Red Gundam and the Psycho Gundam causes Du to start, like, freaking out and shooting beams all over the place. Yeah, I said this colony was fucked, man. Like, she just starts indiscriminately shooting everything, including the MPs and a bunch of civilians. Finally, when the Zeknova light fades, just like at Solomon, there's nothing left. No Shuji, no Red Gundam, just a big hole in the floor. Luckily, it was a smaller Zeknova and didn't destroy the entire colony. Unfortunately, Du still can't get a hold of herself, and she ejects the Psycho Gundam's armor, which kind of like floats around her in a big shield circle like bits, and it just kind of slams into other mobile suits to kill them. It's actually pretty cool. I think that's a really good idea. Also, the Psycho Gundam with no armor looks very, very close to something from Evangelion. The Psycho Gundam makes it all the way to the headquarters building where Kycilia is located, and she's made it to the roof, only to see this giant armor like peering over the roof at her like the colossal titan. Luckily for her, my boy Xavier shows up in a redesigned Gan. I think the Gan looks pretty damn cool here, actually. I really liked it. Also, I was glad that they gave Xavier a badass moment after he's been shit on for the first 6 episodes of the show. That was nice to see. But he's not the only one that shows up, as Shalia Bull also shows up in that Kikaruga mobile armor, which actually, I think I remember that. I cannot remember where exactly the mobile armor was used. Maybe Shalia Bull actually used it in the original Mobile Suit Gundam, but it's the one that looks like a weird spaceship pod with guns on ropes floating around it that he can use like bits. And man, they made it so cool in this episode. In fact, it's so cool that he flies in and fucking kills Gates Kappa in like 10 seconds. The only thing Gates Kappa really does in this episode is yell, "Oh my god, it's the Gray Phantom," as Shalia Bull shows up, and then he explodes. So like, Gates Kappa's entire existence in this show was only to make Shalia Bull even cooler than he already was, which I'm pretty sure that he does less in this show than he did in Zeta Gundam, and I didn't even remember that he was a character in Zeta Gundam, so that's saying a lot. Unfortunately, even though they gave Xavier the really cool Gan, he doesn't really get to do anything. He just sort of stands in front of Kycilia while Shalia Bull kills the Psycho Gundam with pretty much no difficulty whatsoever. He low-diffed her. While all that was going on, Machu actually ran back to the place where the GQuuuuuX crashed, but she was also met face to face with a line of police officers with rifles pointed at her. They're actually able to scan her face and identify her as Amate, which is not good because now they implicate her as a fucking terrorist, so that's wonderful. We can see that the GQuuuuX also moves on its own here, which I'm pretty sure just because a new type is near the Psychomu, they can move the Gundam. I don't think they actually have to be in the cockpit, which is a good thing because the GQuuuuX actually saves Amate from being turned into Swiss cheese by the police, because they like open fire on her like it's a firing squad, and to make matters even worse, they hit her backpack, which throws all the money all over the place, so now they definitely think she's a terrorist. Once she's flying through the sky in the GQuuuuX, the MPs keep chasing her and just constantly shooting her, causing her to like almost snap and freak out. Even the Gundam gets scary, angry eyes at this part, but luckily, Shalia Bull shows up and knocks her out with a blast from his mobile armor somehow. I don't know, he just like, it's like hitting the Gundam in the back of the neck with a judo chop, except with a big laser gun. And the outcome of all this action in today's episode is that Machu ends up on the Sodon, though we see that she's in the brig, as every Gundam protagonist needs to be at some point in their life. And Nien actually ends up with Xavier on Caecilia's ship, because Xavier no longer needs to be on the Sodon. He's not spying on Shalia Bull anymore. Caecilia admits that Shalia Bull is probably not a spy for Giran, so Xavier doesn't have to be on the Sodon. And I do think it's really, really sad when they ask Nien if she has any friends or family she wants to bring to Zeon with her, and she's like, no, I have nobody. And just, man, they're really kicking her while she's down, which makes me think, is she going to come back as like a crazy, evil Neo Zeon new type pilot and fight Machu? Perhaps. I think that might be what we see in the future. I didn't expect Shuji to just disappear in this episode, although I do think he probably will show up. I don't think that's the last we've seen of the Red Gundam, or Shuji obviously, but I didn't expect him to just like Zek Nova and poof out of existence in episode 7. Perhaps the biggest reveal of this episode is that Shalia Bull doesn't want to assassinate Caecilia, because if he assassinates Caecilia, then Giran's going to take all the power of Zeon, and he'll probably wage more war on the Federation. And if he kills Giran, well, Caecilia will take all the power and they'll probably fall into a civil war. So he literally wants to kill both of them at the same time. He's really embodying the spirit of Char, isn't he? And that's pretty much where the episode leaves us off. Obviously, Machu can't go back to Side 6, as the police have blasted her name all over the news and are currently investigating her as being tied to terrorists. And her mom seems incredibly shocked. Oh, also we learned that her dad is a diplomat away on business. So that's probably not going to be good. That's probably even worse than if he was just like an alcoholic that left for cigarettes and milk and never came back. Anyway, I think we're headed towards some sort of inevitable confrontation between the Sodon and it seems like everybody else. I really don't know. It's an interesting situation because Shalia Bull's allegiance is kind of different from everyone. You know, like the rest of the Sodon crew wouldn't essentially agree with everything that he would do. So I don't know if it would be a situation where if he went AWOL with the Sodon, they would all follow him. So I'm really interested to see what happens. I think we're going to see like some sort of Zeon civil war or something, but I'm really glad to get the plot moving on and the status quo for a bunch of the characters moved on. And I'm pretty excited to see where it's gonna go from here, you know? But yeah, I definitely think the show is getting better as it goes on. So why don't you tell me what you think of Gundam GQuuuuuX so far, and if you think that it is getting stronger as the episodes progress, or if you liked the more laid-back clan battle focused episodes of the early part of the season. I will see you guys soon. We have another episode of this vlog series next week, obviously, but also either at the end of this week, probably the end of next week, we will have the brain-powered review. So be on the lookout for that. I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.